Yeah, thank you very much, Damon. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to uh, be here this morning talking about a project that really we've been working on for about the past 2 years, and glad that everyone could join us this morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we got to this point, some of the background in project drivers. As Damon alluded to, the Orange County Stormwater Program is a collaborative program. We have 34 different permittees that make up the program. Those obviously include all the cities as well as the County of Orange and the Orange County Flood Control District. The County of Orange is the principal permittee under the two permits that regulate stormwater runoff within the county. We have one MS4 permit that covers really the watersheds from about Newport Bay north, and then a separate MS4 permit covering the watersheds from Aliso Creek south in the southern Orange County area. And so all told, we have about 10 hydrologic sub areas that make up the county, and we've been operating under a cost share budget really ever since we received our first MS4 permits in the early 90s. We do a lot of program implementation on a regional basis. Most of our public education and our monitoring is done on a regional cost share basis. As with many of the MS4 programs within the state of California, we do have an adaptive management approach, which is really driving program adaptation, evolution of our programs and implementation. So as we develop programs and implement those strategies, we're obviously keenly interested in tracking progress, in measuring how those strategies are helping us achieve the outcomes that we're shooting for. So monitoring and assessment is a big part of that. And then, it's a matter of assessing that information and then making the changes to the programs as needed. And of course, informing that our tools in various tools and data sets. So one of the key drivers of this project was, obviously we have a desire as a program to get the most bang for our buck. We want to implement cost-effective programs, but at the same time, we want them to help us achieve our goals. And so when we sat down to develop a water quality improvement plan for the watersheds of South Orange County about 3 or 4 years ago, there were several key questions that really, I think, rose to the surface and made it very clear that we needed to embark on a project that we're going to be, talking about today. Some of those questions were just simply understanding where the various assets that help us manage stormwater runoff are, understanding, what those assets are, where they are within the built environment, how they connect to the drainage infrastructure, and then expanding on that, being able to understand what condition they're in, how maintenance affects their performance. And then that really gets at answering the ability to measure and quantify what type of or what amount of pollutant load reduction benefits those assets are providing or maybe not providing. And then that gets us towards really being able to measure and quantify whether we're achieving our program goals and requirements. So the main goals of this project are really threefold. Number one, we absolutely needed to understand how stormwater runoff moves throughout the MS4 through our built environment, we need to understand where all the inputs and outputs are from the MS4 network. So a key part of this whole effort has been building a comprehensive database of our drainage infrastructure network, and then along with that, providing the ability to delineate catchments within that drainage infrastructure network, so that we understand, for every catch basin inlet in every storm drain pipe, that we understand with a fairly high degree of accuracy what areas are tributary to those points in the network. So that was absolutely
No, I think we might have lost Grant.
and that's been a big part of this. Made the decision we need. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit, but I think, yeah, we can hear you again.
Okay, I apologize if the audio is not very good. Thank you, Aaron. So in addition to the drainage infrastructure network, one of our goals was to develop a comprehensive asset inventory to be able to understand where all of our water quality assets are, how they connect to that drainage infrastructure, obviously critical attributes associated with those assets, and then the condition and maintenance and ownership of those assets. And then the third goal of this effort is to really provide the ability to quantify and track those assets within a consistent framework, so that we can actually make an educated assessment of what pollutant load reduction benefits those assets are providing. And then I think long term, we see this as a way to support our long-term planning and adaptive management process as we move forward. Next slide, please. So one of the key philosophies that I just wanted to touch on that I think we held firm to in going into this project is that data really is the core asset, not the data warehouse. I think we have an overall philosophy that rather than attempting to build one platform to house all of our data, I think we're of the belief that a federated an open data ecosystem with interconnected databases is really probably the right approach. And from that philosophy, I think we've been able to integrate a number of different digital assets and records into this effort. It's also because of the open data approach that's been taken, and Aaron and John are going to talk a little bit more about that, but it's allowed flexibility when it comes to on-ramping some of our permittees into the ability to use this tool. So that's been very helpful as far as getting jurisdictions who might be starting from different places when it comes to how their data is stored or being managed. And then also, I think one of the great things that this project has allowed us to do is really standardize how we're collecting data on BMPs. It's provided us an ability to meet some common needs in terms of providing an asset management solution that's going to help us address, we think, it's going to help us be in a good situation to address the statewide trash amendments. And we also see a lot of potential use cases of this tool when it comes to long-term watershed plan implementation. So I think that, so far we've seen Stormwater tools provide a great tool to meet some common needs that we certainly have within Orange County. And with that, I think, transition over to Aaron.